October 2022. Greg Hayes, the CEO of RTX Corporation, is on an earnings call with investors. The Middle East is tense. It is always tense. And Hayes, speaking in the measured cadence of a man who has done this many times, offers his shareholders a reassurance. The conflict, he says, will be a significant driver of future revenues. Not a prediction, not a concern. A driver of revenues. Said out loud, into a microphone, transcribed and filed and available to anyone who knows where to look. That earnings call is the cleanest summary of what this video is about. Not a leaked document, not a whistleblower's confession, a public statement made by a named executive to the people he actually works for. The gap between what we are told about American involvement in the Middle East, the democracy, the stability, the security architecture, and what the financial record shows has never been a secret. It has been a filing, a disclosure, a line item in a quarterly report that most people were never told to read. 10 American companies, named, documented, their contracts public, their stock movements recorded, their executives on the record. What follows is the financial architecture of permanent conflict, laid out in plain numbers. Before the individual companies understand the tier, the 5 weapons manufacturers in this video, RTX, Lockheed Martin, Boeing Defense, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, reported combined revenues exceeding $230 billion in 2023. That is larger than the GDP of most countries on Earth, most countries that are not currently on fire. Here is the business model in plain language. A weapons manufacturer sells a product to a government. The government uses the product. The product is consumed, fired, dropped, expended. The government needs more product. The manufacturer gets another order. In most industries, the consumption of your product is called a sale. In this industry, it is also called a conflict. And the manufacturer's job is simply to ensure that when the government reaches for the order form, the factory is ready. Think of it like an umbrella company whose best sales days are rainstorms. Except the umbrella company cannot seed clouds. These companies exist in a different relationship with the weather. Start with the missile. A Patriot interceptor costs between $3 and $6 million. It is a single-use product. When it fires, it is gone. The radar that guided it, RTX components. The battle management system that authorized the launch, RTX components. The replacement interceptor now required, RTX order. RTX is the primary component supplier for Israel's Iron Dome radar and battle management architecture, manufactured under a joint agreement with Israel's Rafael Advanced Defense Systems. RTX holds a $1.2 billion Patriot missile production contract signed in 2022. RTX stock rose approximately 8% in the 2 weeks following October 7, 2023. In the same period, Greg Hayes was telling investors that the conflict would drive revenues. He was not wrong. He was not speculating. He was reading the order book. The Patriot system is the only major air defense platform in the world where successful defense generates immediate, documented reorder demand. Every successful intercept is a consumed asset. Every consumed asset is a restocking contract. RTX does not need wars to go badly. It needs them to continue long enough for the inventory to run low. In 2023, Lockheed Martin disclosed an order backlog of $160 billion, the largest in the company's history. Understand what a backlog means. It is not a forecast. It is not a projection based on hoped-for conflict. It is a signed order book, contracts already executed, payments already scheduled, deliveries already planned. The $160 billion exists regardless of what happens next. The war already happened, financially speaking. Lockheed is simply waiting for the calendar to catch up. Israel has purchased 75 F-35 Lightning II aircraft under a foreign military sales agreement, approximately $80 million per unit. Saudi Arabia purchased 2 THAAD missile defense batteries in a deal valued at roughly $15 billion. These transactions do not appear in Lockheed's direct sales figures the way a commercial transaction would. Under the foreign military sales structure, the U.S. government is technically the seller. Lockheed is the manufacturer. The money routes through the State Department. This is not an accident of bureaucratic design. It is a structural feature, one that makes tracing the revenue from a specific conflict to a specific company balance sheet genuinely difficult. The opacity is built in. Lockheed's stock rose approximately 10% in the 30 days following October 7th. The backlog grew, the calendar advanced, the checks are in the mail, and the mail was sent years ago. In May 2021, the Biden administration approved a $735 million sale of Joint Direct Attack Munition kits to Israel. A JDAM kit is a guidance package that converts an unguided bomb into a precision weapon. Boeing manufactures it. The sale drew congressional opposition. It proceeded. 2 years later, those kits were being used over Gaza. Boeing also holds the Saudi Arabia F-15 production contract, originally valued at approximately $29 billion, one of the largest single international arms deals in American history. The kingdom needed fighter jets. Boeing needed the contract. The relationship has been documented, disclosed, and occasionally protested. It has never been interrupted. General Dynamics tells a different version of the same financial story. General Dynamics manufactures 155mm artillery shells, the standard ammunition Israel expended in volume in Gaza following October 7th. In 2023, the Pentagon awarded General Dynamics a $6 billion contract to surge production of that exact shell. The stated rationale: to restock U.S. reserves depleted by transfers to Israel and Ukraine. Follow the sequence. Shells are transferred from U.S. stockpiles to a conflict zone. U.S. stockpiles are depleted. Pentagon issues a contract to replenish the stockpiles. General Dynamics receives $6 billion. The conflict created the depletion created the contract. Nobody holds a press conference. The announcement is a procurement database entry. The check clears the same way every other check clears. This is the consumption loop, the financial mechanic that means the end of a specific conflict doesn't end the revenue. It just determines which contract gets written next. In October 2023, Northrop Grumman's stock rose approximately 11%. That was the largest single-month gain among all major defense contractors in the period immediately following October 7th. Northrop also had the smallest public profile of the 5 weapons manufacturers in news coverage of the conflict. Northrop manufactures the center fuselage of the F-35. Every Israeli F-35 delivery contains Northrop components. Northrop produces radar systems for the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye deployed in Middle East theater operations. Northrop's 2023 revenues were approximately $39.3 billion. The financial market understood what the news cycle did not pause to explain. The companies whose names don't appear in the headlines are sometimes the companies with the most durable positions in the supply chain. A primary contractor can lose a competition. A sole source component manufacturer simply waits for the order. Northrop waited. October 2023 was a very good month. The weapons tier is visible. You can see an F-35. You can count Patriot batteries on a satellite image. The intelligence tier is different. Its products are feeds, not fighter jets. Algorithms, not artillery. The contracts are classified or partially classified. The revenue flows without a serial number attached to it. If the weapons manufacturers are the contractors who build the building, the intelligence firms are the ones who designed the blueprints, wrote the security system software, and hold the master key. Less visible, harder to replace, and operating in a part of the war economy where the financial relationship with conflict is the most difficult for the public to see. Not because it doesn't exist, but because the architecture is specifically designed to resist outside examination. In the 12 weeks between October 7, 2023 and the end of that year, Palantir's stock rose approximately 25%. That was the single largest percentage gain among every company in this video. It was also the company whose specific contracts generated the least public financial scrutiny and the most journalistic controversy. What is confirmed, Palantir holds a contract with the U.S. Department of Defense for the Maven Smart System, an AI-assisted platform that applies machine learning to military surveillance and targeting data. Palantir's 2023 U.S. government revenue was approximately $905 million. What is also confirmed, in late 2023, Palantir CEO Alex Karp made public statements on the record in interviews and public forums, explicitly positioning his company's technology as relevant to Israel's military operations. He expressed support for those operations. He did this in his capacity as the CEO of a publicly traded company with active government defense contracts. The 25% stock gain is not reported, it is documented. The market made a judgment. The market was working from something. What exactly it was working from remains, in the official record, an open question. In 2003 and 2004, at Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, something happened. What happened was documented in the Taguba Report, a U.S. Army investigation that identified CASI International employees as present during interrogation sessions. The report was not a rumor, it was a military document. CASI was sued by former detainees. The case worked its way through the federal courts for 20 years. In 2023, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit ruled that the lawsuit could proceed. 20 years later, the case is still active. CASI's 2023 revenue was approximately $6.7 billion. Approximately 97% of it came from U.S. government contracts, intelligence agencies, the Department of Defense, CENTCOM. CASI does not have a commercial business to fall back on. It does not need one. Its financial health is permanently, structurally tied to the continuation of U.S. military and intelligence operations in every theater where America operates. That is not an allegation. It is disclosed in their annual report. Under the heading of business risk factors, Booz Allen lists reduced government spending as a threat to revenues. The implication runs in the other direction, too. Booz Allen's stock rose approximately 9% in the 90 days following October 7th. The math is straightforward. The weapons companies need conflict. The intelligence companies need the surveillance architecture that conflict justifies. The infrastructure tier needs something simpler and more durable than either. They need the base to stay open. Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar is the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East. It has been continuously operational since 2001. That is more than 2 decades of base operations, logistics support, maintenance contracts, and facility management, all requiring private contractors, all funded by U.S. taxpayers, none of it dependent on whether any specific conflict is active or resolved. Amentum, which absorbed the government services operations of DynCorp and PAE, holds active contracts at Al-Udeid and across U.S. installations in Kuwait. DynCorp held a State Department contract for police training in Iraq, worth approximately $1.2 billion. The Iraqi police force that contract was meant to build largely collapsed following the U.S. withdrawal. The contract was paid in full. This is the infrastructure tier's version of the consumption loop. The outcome of the work is not the performance metric. Delivery of the contracted service is. Whether the police force holds together after the contractor leaves is, in the language of the contract, a separate question. Whether the base generates another year of operations and maintenance revenue is not a separate question. It is next year's contract renewal. Amentum went public via merger in 2024. Pre-IPO financial disclosures confirmed Middle East operations as a primary revenue driver. Reported contract values for active Middle East work range from $3 to $7 billion annually, figures that appear in trade press but have not been fully confirmed in public filings, given that portions of the work involve classified facilities and operations. Al-Udeid has been open for over 20 years. Nobody has seriously proposed closing it. For the companies that run it, that is not a geopolitical outcome. It is a revenue guarantee written in the geography of American foreign policy. Everything documented so far is about companies, balance sheets, contract values, stock movements, the weapons tier, the intelligence tier, the infrastructure tier. But a system doesn't run itself. Someone decides when America goes to war. Someone decides which companies get the contracts. Someone sits on the board that approves the CEO's compensation package. Sometimes that someone is the same person. Lloyd Austin served on the board of directors of Raytheon, which became RTX, before being confirmed as Secretary of Defense in January 2021. The confirmation hearings addressed this. Austin agreed to recuse himself from certain Raytheon-specific decisions. He remained in office. He presided over the defense decisions of the most militarily active period in recent American history. RTX's CEO said on a public earnings call that the conflict Austin presided over would be a significant driver of RTX's revenues. Austin has not been asked, in a confirmed public forum, to explain the relationship between those specific facts. The question has been asked by journalists. A direct answer has not been provided. Mark Esper served as Secretary of Defense from 2019 to 2020. After leaving office, he joined Raytheon's board of directors. This is confirmed in public corporate filings. No mandatory waiting period prevented the appointment. None was required by law. These are not isolated cases. Multiple former commanders of CENTCOM, the unified command that oversees all U.S. military operations across the Middle East, have moved directly into advisory positions or board seats at Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, and Booz Allen Hamilton. In most industries, when a regulator leaves office and joins a company they were responsible for overseeing, we call it a conflict of interest, and we write laws to prevent it. In the defense industry, we call it a career path. We give it a name, the revolving door, and we discuss it periodically in congressional hearings, and then the door keeps revolving. The financial stakes of this arrangement are not abstract. The executives who rotate from government to the board of a defense contractor bring with them relationships, institutional knowledge, security clearances in some cases, and an understanding of exactly how procurement decisions get made. The companies that hire them are not paying for their opinions on management theory. The arrangement is transactional, documented, and entirely legal. That is the most precise thing that could be said about it. It is entirely legal. The law was written by people who understood the arrangement. Some of them went on to benefit from it. None of what you just heard was classified. None of it required a source to come forward at personal risk. The earnings calls are public. The SEC filings are searchable. The contract awards are in federal procurement databases. The board memberships are disclosed in proxy statements. The revolving door moves are reported in the financial press the same week they happen. The foreign military sales structure routes transactions through the State Department, making direct company revenue harder to attribute to specific conflicts. Emergency transfer authorities allow weapons shipments to bypass standard congressional notification. Classification shields the intelligence contracts from public accounting. None of this is illegal. All of it is designed. The architecture of the war economy includes, as a structural feature, the architecture of its own opacity. The system is not hidden. It is simply organized so that seeing it whole requires knowing where to look and being willing to put the pieces together. The paper trail always survives. It is the nature of financial documentation. Contracts require signatures, transfers require records, public companies require disclosure. The trail is there. What has never been required is that anyone stand in front of the people funding all of this, in taxes, in deployed family members, in the geopolitical blowback that arrives a generation later, and explain in plain language what the financial record shows. Greg Hayes explained it, on an earnings call, into a microphone, to shareholders. The conflict would be a significant driver of revenues. He was not wrong.